Konnichiwa, minasan. Kyo desu. No, I didn't. I'm live right now. Hello, everybody. This is Jay Takashi, guys. I'm here to bring you guys another topic of discussion tonight. Originally, this was going to be set for 8, but I had to push it back to 8:30. So, errands and things I had to run, knock out. All in all, guys, like I said, we'll get started. Like I said, we're going to get into the intro in a couple of seconds. But all in all, if you want to join this topic that we're going to talk about, I'm going to put the link in the chat, and you're welcome to come in so we all can, give our opinions, thoughts, and ideas. And like I said, I'll be counting off from 5 in Japanese, and I won't be messing up 4, I promise you. And then we'll do into the intro, and then we're going to get started. But I'm glad there are people in the chat right now. Yeah, brother. I hear you. All right. And go, yon, san, ni, ichi, 0. Let's go.
El Rello on him.
Hello, everyone. Like I said, I hope you all enjoy that intro, guys. I've been loving it ever since I created it, and hey, it's a banger, baby. I love it. But like I said today, we have my brother, brother Clarence up here, and hopefully a few others come by so we can all talk about this particular topic we wanted to talk about. And literally we have like 2 to 3 things to talk about tonight. So the first one is should we learn from our past generation in order to progress, and in order to progress a better future for ourselves. And the second one is it okay to take advice from our elders who lived in the past, so that we don't make the same mistakes. And the second part is, I guess this is more for the old school cats, the old school cats. It would be more of a question of what were your trial and tribulations like in the past as opposed to now. So we got those 3 things going for, those 3 things to talk about. Wally, I was trying to get you on here, and I'm sorry I didn't give you your thing later on, but I had a lot of busy stuff to do today. And I apologize for that. Like I said, I'm trying to be better with sending out the links early. I had to make sure I had to get Brother Clarence, Rico, and everyone else up on here so they can talk. If Truth wants to come on up, he is welcome to come on up. No problem at all. Brother Vaughn, I would love to have you on up too. Knowledge Relationships, if you want to come up, you're welcome to come up too. Like I said, the link is in the chat for anybody who wants to talk about this or has something to add, I guess. Brother Clarence, let me know when you're ready to.
I'm ready, brother, whenever you're ready.
Oh, thank you so much for showing up, sir. I had to send you and Rico that thing early this morning about what time it was going to be. Had to send you the links a little bit around 8 so I could just get things done for you. Because I'm like, I ain't going to forget you. I'm going to make sure you get it quickly.
All right.
Like I said, you are the guest, which makes me the host. Which you guys are the star of the night, not me. I'm just here to give us the place to talk about it. Wally, if you want to come up, brother, to jump on here. Brother Vaughn, I'm glad you're here. I'm going to let you up too because I really need the old school cats up on here tonight because they're the stars. And they can answer some of the stuff that I have that I might want to ask them. Hold on. Marcus. Hold on. My phone, y'all. Give me a second.
Well, greetings, brother Clarence.
Greetings, Brother Vaughn. Nice to meet you finally.
And yes, everybody, my food is right next to me right now. Well,
that's okay. I'm going to eat too. So
yeah, I'm gonna eat while we do this discussion, y'all. So please understand.
So I'll be in and out.
I'll be in and out yet. It tends to happen when you go to the gym and you're like you feel like worn out, so worn out. But yeah. So I will say this so brother Clarence and Vaughn, don't worry, you go last since you're eating. Don't worry.
No. I haven't begun. I haven't begun yet, my brother.
Yeah, but even then, I don't want to keep you from eating.
Yeah,
so I'm gonna let brother Clarence go first since like I said, since he got here first. I'll let you go next. Give him a chance to get a couple bites in, man. Take your time, by the way.
All right, that's right.
Take your time. All the time. Brother Clarence, so I'm gonna ask you a question, sir. So if you don't mind sharing, like I said, what year were you born into? Like the
1968.
70s?
1968.
1968. Okay, you're a 68 cat. I got you. And throughout those times, I guess you could say it was a little bit brutal within that time period when you growing up when you were younger.
Yeah. You mean now it depends on what you mean by brutal. Brutal in the words of like how do you mean?
Well, did you grow in a very good like environment, like outside of your house? Is what I meant.
Yeah, well, I grew up in a black neighborhood, but
predominantly black neighborhood. Gotcha. Okay.
Out here in LA, but it was, black people had a different mindset back then, man. We more so stuck together. Then so if let's say I got in trouble on one end of the street or one end of the block or another end of the block, by the time I got home, my mother already knew about it. My mother was already up on the game already, right? So that's just the way it was back then, man. Everybody looked out for everybody. You know what I mean? So it was a different time than it is today. Yeah.
Okay, and you would say that you came out pretty well, right?
I think most of that was from running into some a lot of other information, and well, I was always a nice guy. I was always a nice guy. I was never really like no monster or nothing out there, but I didn't have the you know what I mean?
I was first time somebody said monster. It's like y'all want a thug or a dude.
Right, yeah, I wasn't
monster. That's a new one. I'm like, I never heard that.
Some dudes come out here and they'll claim I was a monster out in the street. Okay, well, maybe I wasn't really that way, man. I
terrorized the neighborhood, y'all.
Yeah, I was more athletic. I was athletic, so I was always around the monsters because they always wanted to play basketball. So I was always around them. But so they kind of had a they kind of had a little healthy respect for me. So I never was asked to participate in nothing like that. And they like I said, back in those days, they would say, "I'm doing this, but you ain't gonna do this. You going to school." And so, and they would do, unless they really saw that you was just a knucklehead, then they would let you, get down with them. But if they saw that you had any potential in you, they tried to push you to try to go and and I'm talking about the gangsters. I'm talking about they would push you to try to do stuff, right? To be something, right? And so, yeah, that's how it went down in my neighborhood, man. I was pretty much a nice guy. I didn't get the kind of insight I got till I started exploring different religions, started exploring different frameworks of thought. And once I started doing that, I started understanding a lot better other different things about people. So that's how it happened with me.
Oh, that's good, brother Clarence. Nice. Okay, brother Vaughn, I guess it's your turn.
Well, yeah. What's the question again?
I got you. Don't worry. Oh man. Your brother says that's funny.
I
But
was born in 1961. How's that?
Hey,
okay. I like how
Jay,
you said
were they
100 years old.
Jay, were
I'm
they keeping
sorry.
records back then?
Back in the
Were they using films
back in
back
the
then?
1900s,
Were
gentlemen.
they keeping records back then? I don't know if they were keeping records back then, Jay. I guess we got to just guess.
Okay. All right.
Somewhere
All right, Brother
between the
Vaughn.
Big Bang, and the car.
not that far, not that far back, but yeah,
No,
a little
around the
ways
Big
back.
Bang,
I'd say, I'm a little gray in the tooth. I can say that, or long in the tooth,
Me
as they
too,
say.
brother. Me too. I think this hat off you too much gray.
Yeah.
Okay. And Brother Vaughn, like, so I'll ask you the same thing I asked him. You know, the environment you grew in, outside of your house, was it relatively predominantly black, or was it just mixed, or?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Grew up around my people. You know what I'm saying? Um, Early on in my childhood, we lived in Chicago, and my mom didn't really want me to be raised out there, so she kind of hightailed it to California. And so I lived part of my life out here. When I got older, I moved back, which was, I guess, a bright idea, you know. And so now I'm back in Cali. But yeah, in my travels, I would definitely say that the way I grew up was we didn't have much money. Some people would say that maybe we were possibly poor, but my mother had a home. You know what I'm saying? I never went hungry for anything. And the way that we lived back then, we really didn't see it as, at least I didn't see it as struggling. All I knew is, hey, when I get up, I'm going outside and we hitting the streets, we playing. Kids are playing in the street. I didn't grow up in a harsh atmosphere at all. I decided to return to that later on in life, but I didn't grow up that way. So my childhood was basically kind of like the Little Rascals, or our gang. If you could go back and look at some of that old footage, we we did stuff exactly like what you see in the Little Rascals. We played games in the backyard. We put up screens where we could play movies, and back then it wasn't cell phones and stuff like that, but we had projectors. Actually, Brother Clarence don't remember what a projector is, but yeah, and so we would invite people over and give them charge them a nickel or 25 cents to come and watch whatever. I had a little movie camera at the time, so I would just go around the neighborhood just filming everybody, recording everything. Back in the day, it was called a Super 8 camera. Brother Clarence don't know what a Super 8 camera is.
I
That's so
remember.
funny.
I remember.
You know what I'm saying now? And so we would get those little reels from the Super 8, and then I would splice them together. I figured out how to do that. So, I gave one night we gave a nice little show and invited all of the friends over, and we all sat and laughed at each other. We did stuff like that. I didn't grow up around gang members and things like that.
Okay.
Later on in my life, I discovered
More power to you, brother.
Huh?
I said more power to you, brother, for doing that, not growing around that.
Well, you know what? It was the environment that my mother put me in, as to why I didn't really experience that too much. But later on, as the years passed, the neighborhood that I did grow up in, there was some gang activity. You see what I'm saying? But back in the day, back during that time, it was a little bit different than it is now. People actually fought each other with their fist. Everybody didn't always bring a gun to the fight.
Yeah, we had that. We would, me and my cousins and friends, we would just settle disputes, even in class. Would fight. Well, our fists. Nobody brought a gun or used a weapon or whatever. We didn't do that. At least like for 91. And by the way, guys, I am a 1991 kid, so I'm in the hot seat now. So I'll tell you things I gotta say. So yes, if there were disputes around the time when I was young, we were selling with fists like we're supposed to. That's how men do things around that time. I like now. So I was lucky to have that. Or nobody bringing a gun to our school and doing nonsense. We never had that. It
And
was
you
just
know
all
it's
everything with fist. Even the
and you
girls
know
did that.
yeah.
Well,
And you
actually,
know
they're a little different. They slap and pulling our hair. Yeah, just all types of crazy. That get down and dirty and gritty.
yeah, wow. Yeah. It's something though.
Hmm. And for me, our our environment was predominantly black. There was we had mixed between a couple of Caucasian people there, and I didn't really see any Hispanic people at the
Yeah.
time.
I think we had
But
uh,
yeah.
two white families in my neighborhood.
Well, I'm talking
Gr-
about like right
Growing up.
across from where you live at when I say that. One up
Yeah,
on the
and
hill
I'm
on
talking
the end
about
and then
like
one across
two
from you.
houses down or four houses down. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can
And
remember those days.
yep. And for me, like I said, my aunt lived right next to us in her own house. That was my Aunt Carol right there. Another person that was religious and very Christian like and always would take me to church in case I didn't have a ride there and my parents were too tired to take me, so I would always go there. And like I said, I think I had enough support around me to make sure that I wouldn't turn out rotten.
Yeah,
Still have a belly
yeah,
streak to an
that
extent, but
that
I got out of that and grew up. Um, like I said, it took a while, like I said, to get to the point where I was at, to where I started listening, being good, making my brother, trying to learn from. I learned from other cats on the streets, of course, to an extent, to like how to be aware of things, how to move, how to walk, how to not look like a target, and I learned a little bit from the streets and a little bit from the school, but it was more so just so I could not just survive, but be careful who I talk to, and it's always important who you know. So definitely, yeah, I think I plays a key factor, and I guess going into our explaining things to you guys this way. It's just so you guys can get a better emphasis of like I guess the environment we had to grow up in, as opposed to the one you grew up in too. So you can get both sides. So I can get like different eras of understanding of like what it was like for you to grow up.
mm,
And that's why I asked the
yeah,
question the way I did.
yeah,
Because I'm trying to get a little bit more, like I said, I'm trying to get more insight into what it was like for you guys. Um, for me, like I said, it seems very similar, except like I said, probably things are a little bit different in each era, but I would say to predominantly, you grew up in a predominantly black neighborhood, um, and you have some cats who aren't with the law or whatever, or you have some cats that are kind of like just rebelling against parents, or some that are good, but it's hard to spot them out in your own hood. I guess I said hood, y'all, in your own little in your own little piece of area that you live in. So for me, it was like I said, it was about like being aware of stuff. Father always told me, "Yo, be aware of your surroundings, son." I am a cop, but I am not everywhere to look after you. Just be aware of your surroundings. You ever get in trouble or whatever, or you need my advice, you come talk to me.
yeah. Wow, it's crazy because when you think about what's going on now today, the times have changed so much. When I was growing up, we could basically, leave our doors unlocked. You know what I'm saying? Who would think of doing that today? You know, you know. I know I wouldn't personally, you know, but we could do that. You know what I'm saying? And the time was a little bit different. The racial tension was quite different as well. You know what I'm saying? But I
Mhm.
didn't feel that as much growing up as some of the older people that grew up in the 60s. You got to understand, I was a little kid, like a little baby back then. You know what I'm saying? But you had those who were adults that were having the struggle, of
Right.
discrimination and all of those different things. And so, but I grew up in an era where in the 70s. I would say that was my growing field right there. In the 70s. Was it that way for you, Brother Clarence?
Yeah, definitely. 70s, the 80s, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, exactly. And I remember those years, and when I look back on them, I kind of smile a little bit because it was a totally different time. we regarded each other a little bit different. Back then we had community, we had village, we had that whole village type of experience. You know, if I went down the street and Miss Jones saw me cutting up, then she would get into my ass. And then when she would report back to my mom, then she would get into my ass again. You see what I'm saying? The neighborhood looked out for each other, you know, and so it's a little bit different now, man, you know, different atmosphere.
Yeah.
You know, nowadays you don't even see kids out in the street because, you know, pretty much they're inside on their computers. You know, I barely see the ice cream truck. You know, I'm like, man, when's the last time I
You
seen
got
an
one
ice
over
cream
here.
truck? You know what I'm saying? Wow.
Rarely. So I mean, it's a good suburban area, but even then, I'm like, when I do see one, it'd be alien as heck to me. I'm like, no kids ever be out unless they like that one little girl and her brother and sister out in this one area in this suburban area, and it's just like that's the only customers you're gonna get, man.
Yeah.
But I mean, at least for us, I think having to know, like, you know, just my father just knowing the people he knew in the neighborhood, but also in stores or in incidents he may have not been. Yeah, like I said, I ain't like that feeling very much because he just knew everybody, so I knew to behave, and I'm like, you can't be acting out right here.
Wow. Yeah.
So, I mean, it kind of pays for him to be a policeman, so it kept me in check.
That's
'Cause
good.
I'm
You,
like,
you,
hey,
yeah, that's good. You had good example.
Yeah,
yeah.
man.
And see,
Actually, it's
that's
worse 'cause like I
good.
said, his military way of looking out on things, but also policeman ways of looking out on things too.
Mm,
What was a quite a influence in my life to made me not want to be put in jail, and also his stories he would tell me people he would put in, he would lock up and things like that. Like, yeah, I don't ever want to go to jail. I was like, once I heard that, I was like, yeah, I ain't never trying to ever disappoint my dad. F that.
yeah.
You know, and that's what kind of keeps you at the penitentiary, and I went from those people from going juvenile correction centers, and I'm just like, yeah, I just don't. Sorry about that. I just don't need to do that and be in that position because I have enough love and support around me, and also good men around me, especially in church that I went to keep me from becoming like that.
Yeah.
And they help me out.
Yeah. And that's one thing that
The
I'm a
women
little
too. By the way, the
envious.
women too. Shout out to the women
Yeah.
in church too.
Yeah. Them too as well.
Mhm.
You know, I wish I would have had more mentors though growing up. That when it comes to that, I would say that's an area I definitely lacked in. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, man, shout out to all of those mentors, you know, who took these young men under their wings, and they didn't necessarily have to do it, you know, but they saw the need, and so, you know, they responded. And so, you know, hey man, my heart goes out to these brothers that have done that, you know, and in some ways I have tried to do that as well.
Sound
No,
good.
that's good, Vaughn. Oh, go ahead, brother Clarence.
No, I'm telling them that's good, man, because it was just a different time back then, man, and you know, men had more time to, excuse me, they had more time to put into trying to, you know, help young men stand up. Whereas in today's world, man, it's the rush, push, and then of course, you ain't a real man unless you bagging a bunch of chicks, you know. So I don't know where we picked that one up from, but
I have no idea, man.
anyway,
It was ingrained in the boys in my hood when I was
yeah,
my neighborhood. Like, at least I'll say this: a few of my cousins didn't have that mindset. It was like, we got a girl, it's no problem. But it's just like this rhetoric came when we got in like upper middle school,
right.
like during 7th and 8th grade, around the time before you grade to graduate. That's where we got talked about more, and it was just like it'd be all crazy talk that we would have, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just here for the ride, y'all. I ain't worried about all
In
this.
my opinion, this comes from that mentality stems from Prime, where Prime was more available, and you know, as younger children, some of us were running into it, and then letting our friends say, "Hey, come on, man, I got this tape. Come on," and so it was starting to permeate through the community and give us these false standards for women, these false standards for ourselves, and just making everything just a really ugly situation, man.
I say it's a cluster. Pardon my French, a clusterfuck of sorts because a false dichotomy that we implemented in our kids more often or implemented in passed on from you guys then on to us. And now the younger generation, now younger than us, because I'm 31, but millennial, but it just went. It's like it was like a story or an ideal, and it just got pushed down through every generation. And I'm just trying to figure out, like, I'm like, why doesn't it dilute?
What, Pron?
I meant more so like that that idea.
About
right?
bagging a lot of chicks.
Yeah.
But because that's what masculinity is measured on in the current society. There's no way to measure masculinity. Like, in other words, masculinity used to be measured by responsibility. More responsibility you could carry, then we considered you more masculine. But in a world that's upside down, right? Masculinity, where everybody's running from responsibility, right? Everybody's running from it, right? So therefore, we can no longer measure masculinity in a crazy world. We can't measure masculinity with responsibility, right? Because responsible people are simps. So we gotta label the responsible people, give them a name that shows that they are not as intelligent or vibrant as the non-responsible people. And so the non-responsible people say, oh no, I can bag a bunch of chicks and get a bunch of money. That makes me more important than you, who is with your wife and trying to stay with your wife and trying to raise your own children. No, I'm more of a man because I got a baby in Indiana. I got a baby in California. I got another baby, 2 babies in New York. I got another baby down in Texas. That's unfortunately the situation that we're dealing with.
Right. Yo, Yeetus, that's wild. I saw okay. I need to answer him because I did see that this morning. A promotional art for like that new Scooby Doo, and I'm like, bro, I'm not even paying it no mind.
Wow.
No. The original. Listen, and this is why I'm kind of like an old school elitist almost to some degree. Not full on, but stuff that was made in the past generation. I think some of that was a majority for me. A third of it was very, very good, and I guess the other 20% may not have been good, what was pushed, but that's the era I grew up in. And they kind of have a lot of respect for the work some of the G's did, or more often not, some of the men had to go through in that time, and the ladies. So them doing that doesn't it's just trying to. I don't know if you're trying to appease to the new masses or just appease to the agenda more often than not. Which obviously it must be agenda for you to do that. So
women are not attracted. Women used to be attracted to a man that could carry that kind of responsibility.
And suits.
That's no longer a requirement to be injected into the sexual selection process for women. They used to need to see some type of responsibility before they brought you into the sexual selection process. Now they don't have to do that. All they got to do is look at you and say, "Damn, Jay, go to the gym. He looks good. Look at them arms. Look at them legs." Right. Hey, I don't care whether he, slapped his mother before he walked out of the house, right? I don't care if he did that, right? I don't care if he, got 4 children that he ain't paying for, right?
Wow.
Who cares? Mm-hmm. He looked good. Let's get down. Let's do it. And so men have said, well, since the women are not requiring responsibility before sex, why should we be responsible?
Yeah. I will say this. I think it goes hand in hand, Brother Clarence. I'm going to say this. I think it's a matter of, okay, so they don't want that. Okay, then F it. Then we'll just if you don't want commitment or none of that stuff from us, then hey man, we'll just play this game where we'll just play your game now. Or so it's like, so if you don't, if you don't want to give us that, then why should we do it vice versa? Etc. Like, why should we have to play into your game? I guess mindset, like us, So it's like this. Why should we have to follow the rules when you don't follow the rules? I guess that's the best way I can say it. And I can understand some guys' mindset where I was like, so wait, I did all this, I was calm, benevolent, didn't believe in your way because I didn't believe it was the right way of doing things. But because of that, you're gonna judge me, and then I don't fit a criteria of a man because you don't no because you weren't born and raised around the right people to show you what a healthy man looks like, and also what to look for in a man for stability and for a prosperous life. And when my friend heard that, he was like, "Oh hell no, dude." He's like, "I'm better off alone. I'm gonna live in the mountains," which is funny because I actually got the mountain idea from him to have peace. If there was, because I just want solitude. But if I had my own family, of course. But I got that idea from him. He said I would literally live on the mountain, build my own house, and just be away from this shit. Because if you're telling me this is what I have to, these are the ladies to pick from, I'm better off doing my job from my house and buying my dog.
Wow.
Or in my acre of land of solitude. If that, and I told, and the thing is, I felt bad when he said that because it's like no man should, out personally for me, nobody who is a hard worker and everything like that should be by themselves. Because that's a sad existence to me. No one should spend out their days by themselves. That's sad.
Unless they want to.
If it's willingly.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want to, but it's because of what he experienced, but also he's not. As a result of it, he's not jaded. He understands it, but at the same time, he said, "I think I get it now." Now at this point, I'm just trying to be with somebody. I'm just going to be with myself. And he came to that conclusion by himself. Now, one of my boys is. I still have his number. I still talk to him from time to time. He's fine. Not angry or anything like that. He's just calm. He actually chops wood for his fire. He does all the stuff outside in the woods that you wouldn't expect a normal black brother to do, unless you were born in the country. Yeah, he's really out there working. And I was like, brother, as long as you found, listen, I hope you. I told him, I hope you find what you're looking for. I do hope you find what you're looking for, man. And if you're in solace right now, much respect and hope you continue to have that. Because like I said, he's a really good hard worker. He doesn't make excuses for anything. He owns up to anything that he's done. And he hasn't actually had many. Actually, he doesn't really have any traumatic experiences. Honestly, he just that once, just that one incident with that one lady, and it was just like, okay, no. He literally went to his mom and said, "Mama, these women are nothing like you. Nothing."
Nah.
That was lucky to get you when he did. He said, if I had a chance, I would try to go back to get a lady like yourself. I remember him sitting down. We sat down 4 hours talking about this. Literally, because he was not going through a depression or anything, but he was literally telling me his whole story. And I was just like, damn. Yeah. I really had to get 2 cups of coffee for that. Well, in this case, tea, but shit. It was a talk. And he had said, like, I said, I always wondered if we were born in the time that our parents were, could we have gotten us a great sister to be married to and things like that? And I'm like, I'm sure most likely we would have gotten one if we had built ourselves up and stuff like that, like the actual way that we were taught. Yeah, more likely we would get one. It's just a matter of knowing how to, how to woo a woman, how to take care of yourself, knowing how to establish I would say this, a system to where your future family can thrive in. Then you'd be okay. You'd be good to have a lady. I'm like, yeah. I'm pretty sure if I had that, I'd be good, is what he told me. But it's just like, Jay, with the way that things are now, man, I gotta think about my own peace and my own stability in my mind. And I'm like, brother, I understand. Just keep doing you. Despite what the popular popular fad trend is right now, don't worry about it. Like I say, because I think something like that is destined another. I think that system that they have right now is going to crumble at some point, and then a new thing will be set up to take its place, as it always does. But oh, you're muted, brother Clarence. But I guess like I said, I guess my question for I'll let Vaughn go next, and I'm gonna let you go, brother Clarence, next. Brother Vaughn, did you have? I knew you said you didn't have really any mentors, but have you gained? Did you gain any wisdom from any older gentleman that you talked to?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I would say definitely I did. You know, especially when we became more involved in the church. You know, there were a lot of men in the church at that time. At that time, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, so it was still a village back then when I went to church. You know what I'm saying? And they would tighten me up too, you know, because it was like we were a family. It wasn't a mega church that I went to. It was kind of like a family church. See what I'm saying? So it wasn't so big to where, you know, you weren't noticed when you were not there. And you know, I went to the type of church that held me accountable, you know, how are you doing in school and blah, 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 and all of these different things, you know. And then there were some a lot of mentors that I had gained through going to different churches, or people coming from out of town that would come and speak and run different types of revivals or different types of conferences, if you would say it that way.
We had
you
that,
know,
brother.
and so I began to follow these individuals, and so that's where I gained a lot of my wisdom from, was, you know, kind of somewhat sitting at their feet, listening to them, you know, and studying what they were saying, you know, studying what they were teaching, you know. And so that's how I gained a lot of it, you know. And you know, just listening to the conversation. So I mean, listening is a great it's one of the biggest things, you know, in order for you to gain some type of knowledge and wisdom. You know, you can always read and study, you know, but if you don't take time to really listen to an individual, you know, just like the question you said, how can we learn from the generations, you know, from back in the day? And there's a lot of younger people that are turned off by the conversation that I may have, because all they know is about the right now, you know. But see, it wouldn't be a right now if it wasn't a back then. You know what I'm saying? So you need to understand the process of how you got to the place that you're presently at, you know. And I can give some details as to how, and people older than me can share other further back details, you know. But what did we learn from it all? So the only thing that I can share with a person is my experience and what I learned from my experience. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I'll say this, to some degree, we never really got that talk about how to love a woman more often than not by our fathers. Sometimes the most our father would tell us, like, son, you're gonna know. and he would tell us, listen, it's like how, I guess if he sat down and had a talk with you, how to find like a woman you really care about, one you're gonna settle down for. There's really, I didn't get that talk really until really after high school. Because he knows, because he knows I would follow his rules and not do that at a very young age and have children. He knows I wouldn't. Because I followed the rules, but also, hey, I did have the talk, which is good. That talk, but also like for like when, like, you know, when marriage comes into play around college and stuff like that. You know, when you're trying to figure out yourself, build yourself up, and when it happens. I mean, he's not gonna give me that talk when I'm 28. No, I know he wasn't. It was like right around like 18, 9-ish, about that talk, about how to love, you know, about how to find somebody who to spend your years with and things like that. He just said, you're gonna know, son. And also the best thing I can tell you is don't be a dork. Don't be stupid. Don't pretend to be something you're not. Be you, but be the best version.
Wow.
That's what he told me. That's all I got.
Well, I'm gonna tell you,
because everything else is an experience that I can't tell you, because what I experience is not going to be the same thing what you're going to experience. And I think that was I'll be honest. I think that was helpful because guess what? He said like, I don't think you're gonna meet your lady the same way I met your mother. Seriously.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Heck, you could have met her at a retreat. You might meet her in the subway or something. Is what he said. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah, she could
And
be
he was giving up
anywhere. She could
hypotheticals.
be anywhere. It's
Yeah.
just we need to recognize when we see her.
Right.
A lot of times we pass her right by because, you know,
Because we're
the
blind to
package the package wasn't too shiny enough for us. And see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, the package wasn't shaped right. And you know, we have a lot of, you know, little on our list, you know, of what we want and what we don't want, you know. And a lot of those things that we do want, you know, are definitely some of those things that we don't need, you know, because when you get the shiny package, guess what? Everything that glitters, ladies and gentlemen, is not gold.
I was waiting for
See,
you to say
now,
that.
now it would look
I
good
go
on the outside and it's appeasing to the eye.
eyes,
But
on the
believe
inside,
me,
it's
my
ugly as
brother
hell.
and sister, yeah, it's going to take you through some pure hell. You see what I'm saying?
I should laugh at that, but
And
that's
so you have to see the beauty of an individual,
Right.
you know. And if you're basing that person's beauty just upon their outward appearance, now don't get me wrong, because there should be some type of attractiveness there. You know what I'm saying? We all have our preferences. It's nothing wrong with that. You get what I'm saying? But beyond that, you know, you have to see beyond that in order for it to be the right thing for you. Because if that's all you see is surface, well, believe me, you're going to get more than surface.
should be
And then you're going to say, wow, I didn't know that was under that wig. And I didn't know that was, you see what I'm saying? Up under there,
with a clean face.
you know. And yeah, and you know, I'm just paraphrasing. I'm not talking about any of the wig wearers, you know, but I'm just paraphrasing because you know, we don't know what are you showing us, you know. And that's a physical thing I was talking about. But man, when it gets down to who are you on the inside, man, that's a whole nother story, man. And a lot of times we are hoodwinked and we have been talked into participating in things basically because of how it looks on the outside. And man, I have made so many mistakes because of that. You see what I'm saying? I've had so many wrong hookups because of that. Oh, it looks good for a minute. Yeah. But see, one thing that the brother said, and we're all grown here, but after that post-nut clarity, when that kicks in, and you say, well, what was I thinking? This is definitely not the right person. Now, how do I get out of this? Do I ghost them? What do I do?
Go ghost. I'm being funny when I say that, but honestly, never return. Just don't return. Like I said, unless you have kids, that's a different story.
Vaughn, are you coming back tomorrow night, Vaughn? Vaughn.
I'd have ran. No. Well, first I gotta know who I'm going down to bed with and the sheets are with anyway, so I gotta be careful of that. I think I don't know because I don't want any I'll be honest, I want no crazy psycho. That's what I'm really scared about, especially nowadays. So
psycho, that's man. Out of all the stuff you have to worry about, jumping into bed with somebody you don't know, that's probably lower on the list than basically your health, man. You want to know what kind of lifestyle this person's living when you jump into bed with them,
that's
man.
true.
Because you know what I mean. Because listen, man, if they're dating multiple men at the same time,
Oh hell no, no.
but most of these women are dating multiple men at the same time. They're not going to come out and say you. This is
I know.
What they're going to say is, well, I'm dating. That's code for, yeah, you one of the roosters on the fence, right? So you have to be careful in that situation, man, and make sure that, you know, the person's lifestyle is congruent to what your health objectives are, right? You don't want to be exposed to something that, I mean, you already, just the fact that they're going to be having sex with other people, they're going to expose you to different biological agents, right? Because if they're kissing somebody or doing other things with somebody, they're going to be exchanging fluids with that person.
Yeah.
So those fluids are going to get that DNA is going to get into their DNA, and they're going to exchange that DNA with you.
It's herpes. Yeah. Yeah, I had to say it. I mean, we all know.
Yeah, and the
But,
last thing you want to do, gentlemen, is get burned.
Yeah,
Yeah,
get burned.
that's what we called it back in the day. I don't know what the young people call it now.
yeah, no. That's the term, old school term that I know. Burn.
Yeah, well, you don't want to get burned because you get up and go to the bathroom, and now you're wondering why it stings when you're urinating. Oh
Yikes.
my. Oh, ladies and gentlemen,
Yikes.
life is real. Now, back in the day, it was just the burn, but now, wow, got a whole bunch of things you're dealing with now.
Anything.
You just couldn't go. You just can't run to the doctor and take a pill and get rid of it now. Come on now. Now that's real talk. That's real talk right there.
Yes, that's serious. Preach, brothers.
It wasn't back in the day, that was pretty much the worst you had to worry about. You'd be like, oh man, that was pretty much the worst you had to deal with. But now, holy smoke, since the 80s, now you had to deal with the HIV situation and other situations that stuff don't go away. You know what I mean? And you could be really seriously caught up. And a lot of guys are too afraid to say, hey, before we engage in this, let's both go and get tested. Make sure we're okay.
Oh, brother Clarence, for record, my lady and me, now we did that just to make sure.
Good.
And the reason I had nothing to hide, so I was going to do it regardless. I was cool because I was the one that brought it up.
But you're the 0.0001% of guys that got the balls to do that. Most guys don't have the balls to do it, right?
And obviously, I'll say this: you would want to do that to make sure before you get married to make sure this person I know before I want to engage in whatever with them, and also if it's a woman I want to marry, we're getting that done right away.
Right.
I'm making sure right the hell then and there that we're both clean. If anything,
well, back in the day, and I'm sure Brother Clarence probably knows about this. But back in the day, it was a requirement in order for you to get married. You had to do a blood test. Now they did a blood test for a different reason, not sexually transmitted diseases, but it was for the purpose of that they didn't want you to end up marrying somebody that you were related to.
Right.
Yep. I did hear about that.
Yeah. But it used to be a requirement. It used to be a requirement.
Yeah, long distance cousin or something you don't know about.
Yeah, man, something crazy like that, and then you got
which is really crazy
with Down syndrome because of that situation. So that's what they were looking for at that time. Now, holy smokes, man, you got to be very proactive about your health, your finances, everything, man. You know what I mean? So it pays off to ask a lot of questions before you actually jump into bed with somebody. Pays off, man.
Yeah, it really does. And I will say so, Brother Clarence, Brother Vaughn answered it. And I know we did get into some conversation with that. Appreciate that, guys. That was a really good combo. So Brother Clarence, did you have any quote unquote mentors around you? Anybody who you may have gained some wisdom, aka knowledge from when you were younger?
Yeah.
Or as you were becoming an adult?
I had let's see. Well, my father was with me until I turned right before I was about to turn 19. And so my father was a very heavy influence on me, man. He was an ex-military guy, ex-military police, so he was
similar to my dad. Okay.
He was that guy that's, hey, I'm gonna show you how to make this bed up, and I better be able to bounce a quarter off of it. So he would
that too. I got the same talk.
Off that bed, right? And then if a room was messy, he would make it more messy. Like if I had stuff all over the place, he was that type of dude, man. I come home and it was stuff everywhere. And I said, what happened here? He said, when you had it messy, I was looking for something. I just left it the way you had it. You know what I mean? And so I get the message, man. Okay, I got to keep myself.
Oh yeah, you're real quick. Yeah.
But he was more of a disciplinarian and not a nurturer. So it wasn't a nurturing situation. It was more like, hey boy, this is what I'm telling you. Do it. And out of respect. Back at them days, Jay, you just had respect. You didn't question nothing they said, not because you thought they were stupid. Just out of respect, you didn't question what they said. And so But then when my father passed away, I went into a period of darkness, for a while, and it was the next time I had some real serious people come into my life. I was probably in my late 30s.
Mhm.
That came into my life that tried to actually, well, no, I would say my mid 20s. They came into my life and tried to help me. I just kept running from them. I kept running and running and running, and finally I couldn't run no further. I just got pushed into their arms. Right, serious men of God, man, came along, and they wouldn't accept none of my excuses. I can't be responsible because I got all this going up. So what? Well, I got, they were like, so what? So what? We all got stuff going on. You can be responsible. You can do what you're supposed. You can do this. Read this. Read it. Learn this. Learn it. Do this. Do it. And finally, I started submitting to what they were telling me because I had this rebellious streak in me, like everybody else, like almost everybody else. I had this little rebellious streak where since you telling me to do it, I ain't gonna do it because you telling me to do it, and that was really stupid. That's really stupid to be that way. But unfortunately, a lot of the TV and a lot of the media outlets would have TV shows and stuff, programs and stuff that promote um, defiance from your parents, even if your parents are telling you good things to try to help you. So I fell into that, and then fortunately for me, these brothers didn't give up on me. They could have gave up on me. They could have said, "Forget him. He's too far gone." Right? That's why you guys see me sometimes when somebody like a Simon comes along, and I'm still pushing the branch out to that person, right? Because somebody did that to me, where other people would tell me, "Why are you still extending a hand out to this dude? He's nothing. Throw him away. Why are you still wasting time on him?" But what I was taught by these guys was, you don't know what's in that person's heart and what they're going through, and maybe Mike could just turn them around just by extending a hand to them. You never know. You never know. So always extend that hand. Now, if they slap your hand away, then you can pull your hand back, but you should at least extend your hand out to them. So that was one of the many things I was taught by these men, and just to have long patience because they had so much patience for me. I was really a lost soul. I had the trappings of a nice life, nice cars, nice home, children that were healthy. I had the trappings of niceness, wife,
Mhm.
but inside I was empty. Was like, this is all it's about? Just going to work and coming home, but I found more purpose in my life once I got acclimated to what in my opinion, God had intended for me. If that answers the question.
No, you answered the question thoroughly. That and more. Appreciate that. Oh, Von Eric, we have another guest here tonight. Thank you, Von Eric, for showing yourself.
Wow. Well, no. And then there were two Vons. That's
Yeah.
what I'm talking about.
No,
Best
we call you Von B, and this is Von Eric, Von E, aka Von Eric.
Von E
Yo,
and
y'all got
Von
doctor.
B.
Yeah, I
That's
go
all
lie.
right.
No, cool. Because your name is Brian. That's why I don't want to say Von Bryant. I would like to say Von B. Like doctor
Yeah,
name.
Von
But
V.
both got
Hey,
doctor names.
I get it. But
Yeah,
it's
both
good
y'all
to
got
see you.
doctor
It's
names.
good to see my brother on the panel. I always enjoy him and Brother Clarence. I could just sit back and watch both of them just go at it. I'm telling you, it's like a pastime for me. I just put my foot up on my little stool and I just say, wow, let me see what they're going to do now with this topic.
He makes me work. Von Eric makes me work too hard sometimes, man. I be like, I go home.
He works you, man. He works you.
What's up, Brother B? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How everybody doing today? Blessings to all in the chat and on the panel.
Same to you, brother. Same to you. We talking about old school, man.
Oh,
Yep.
old school. Oh,
Old
Yep.
school. I was old school, brother.
Old school.
Yeah, how was it on your block growing up?
Well, I got different variations because I grew. Okay, when I was in the I lived on the same block that when Tupac came down to Baltimore. He lived up the street, the next block up. So at the time on Cater Avenue, at that time, it was family oriented, but at the same time, you've seen things that's going on, hustles and things like that. My mom, she used to work for Westinghouse, and they was a pretty big company. It was a big time employee back in the day.
I remember that.
And then her husband at the time was a truck driver, and it was pretty good. We a good family. Just like I said, she worked for Westinghouse. He was a truck driver, and we was able to buy 2 homes across the street. Well, they did, not me, but they did. Yeah, it was a good time. Seen a lot of things. Still, it was hustling. But as we moved from there, because we had to move from there, and went to another place in the city. But my mom, she always took us to places outside of the city. She always told us, just don't stay in an environment that you in. Also go out. So she always took me out in the counties, see how the county people lived in the suburb. I had family on my brother's side. They was one of the first black families in the Towson area in Baltimore County. Matter of fact, they got the school where they made it into a historical school in Towson, and you could come there. People come there to see the school, see what people did way back in the day. And they was the first African American family in that area. Had their own school, had their own almost like Tulsa, Oklahoma, in that area. So, and then my grandfather was the first African American to have a photo shop in Baltimore City. And I'm sure you know, back in the day, Clarence and Vaughn, they had the Policy Kings, people that sold numbers and stuff like that. Well, my grandfather worked for the Policy King in Baltimore for years, and so did my great aunt. She worked for the Policy King. Y'all remember Bethlehem Steel? Well, she was the one in charge of the numbers in Bethlehem Steel back in Baltimore. So, but it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, that numbers game was a big thing back in the day, man.
Yeah. Matter of fact, yeah, go ahead.
No. I just added that in there real quick, but yeah, it was a big thing back in the day. That's way before we had the lottery and all of that stuff. You're waiting for them for that number to get in.
Yeah. Man, that's where they actually got the lottery numbers, the concept due to policy, because the guy who was in charge of the policy in Baltimore, he was the first lotto commissioner in Maryland.
Oh,
yeah. So it was matter of fact, and policy, the Policy Kings, they started churches, businesses came out of the people that was running numbers, and the Policy Kings. Matter of fact, they got a book out called The Policy Kings. You should get that book.
Was that a way of laundering money back then?
Pretty much, because it was illegal.
Exactly.
Because it was illegal. But if you ever read up on Teddy Rowe in Chicago, what he did, especially in that Chicago area, it was a great story how he how everybody loved him and stuff like that. Matter of fact, he was one of the ones who was the guy that came after Al Pacino, not Al Pacino, Al Capone, the guy who took over the Chicago mob after Al Capone. He started under Teddy Rowe, and he started under the Jones Brothers. And the Jones Brothers, y'all know who they related to, Quincy Jones.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Frank Nitti took over after.
Okay.
Al
Hey,
Capone.
do you remember that documentary that Geraldo came out with about the Al Capone's?
Oh yeah, the vote.
The vote, yeah.
Rica.
Oh
Yeah.
man, and they went through all of that, and there was nothing in there.
Right. Yeah. All of that.
Oh, man,
pissed
that
me
was
off,
crazy.
Yeah.
And I was all into looking at
Me
it too. I
too.
wanted to see what was going on.
It was in
What
there.
you talking about, Vaughn?
You know, he did Geraldo did a documentary on Al Capone, you know, and I guess how did they find out about this vote? He had a vote hidden
Yeah.
somewhere,
Oh,
and they figured out where it was.
Nothing in there. Yeah.
And it was not. You remember that, Brother Clint?
Yeah, I remember that, man.
Yeah.
Everybody's all hyped
And we
up.
all
man.
sitting and waiting to see like what's in there. Like
Yeah.
I was expecting a lot of loot to be in there, you know,
Or
Me too.
something, right? Jewelry
and
or
some
something.
jewels, right?
And this guy came up with nothing. I was pissed. I said all that time. But now, it
remember
wasn't.
that, man.
That's when I knew Geraldo. That's when I knew Geraldo was for sale, man. I was like,
Yeah.
it was definitely for sale, man.
But who took on? Now it wasn't Frank Nitti. It was a guy after Frank
No,
Nitti.
no, no. I'm sorry, I
Frank
made a
Nitti.
mistake. It was Paul Rica.
No, it wasn't. This guy wasn't. This guy was. He was the one that was accused of. They went to as far as what was his name?
Tony Accardo.
Kennedy. What you say? Say his name again. Say that last one.
Tony Accardo.
Oh no, this was another guy. I think he died in the basement. He was killed in the basement of his house.
Yeah.
But yeah, my mom, get back to you back in the day, because I grew up, you know, in the city and in the suburbs, because we had family in the suburbs. So my mom used to always take us out in the suburbs to see the suburb life, to make sure we just don't confine ourselves to one area. Don't just stay in the city but go out the city. So I was able to grow up in different parts of Maryland, even out in the farm, and out there. So I remember when I first seen a pig get killed, I fainted. So I wasn't used to that. But yeah, I was able to experience that, which was a growth of mine when it came to growing up. And then my dad, he was a preacher. So I was a PK. My mom,
PK,
she was
all right, PK.
and it was funny because this is why I'm like argumentative, because my dad was a PK and my mom was a Jehovah's Witness. And it was so
Oh wow! I know that household was full of a whole lot of things going on.
oh my goodness, yes,
Wow!
yes, it was.
Wow.
And then my aunt, she was like an atheist. Then we had
Oh,
Baptist and Pentecostal, and oh my gosh, it was nuts.
Wow!
It was
Wow!
nuts. So I grew up in that type of environment, especially when they, you know, cookouts came and everybody trying to get their verse together. They coming out with all types of Bibles and verses and oh my it was something else. So that's why I got my research
Wow.
when it comes to research and stuff like that, because
Yeah, exactly.
I used to see that and they used to challenge me. So I was like, oh man. So when I came, I always try to make sure I was on point, because if they challenged me, I was able to come up with backup but yeah, that's what I was raised up
Wow.
with. Yeah.
And the funny part about it is, you know, everybody took the color green and tried to describe it 10 different ways.
In different ways.
It's like, ladies and gentlemen, it's green. Come on now, it's green.
right. Yeah.
Green?
What? How many ways we gonna chop it up? Wow.
Yeah. And then it was funny. You see the arguments going on. Then by the time at the end of the day, drinking, and then they all singing songs.
Oh yeah.
Singing Motown classics and Motown songs.
Forgot all about church now.
Right, forgot all about
got that same kind of family, man. I got the same kind.
Yeah, and you got on the other corner the people. They arguing about the Bible. The people on the other side, they smoking weed.
Oh yeah,
It was, but
yeah, man.
it was love though. It was love. Yeah, even though you had different opinions, different interpretation, at the end of the day, it was love. You know, made sure everybody, no, you ain't going home not like that. You're gonna sit your butt here on this couch and go to sleep. You ain't driving home. So it was much
Yeah.
love. You know.
Yeah, and end up fighting because they done took your keys.
See?
Well, you ain't going nowhere. We ain't gonna
Right.
let you go nowhere.
Go nowhere. Yeah.
Yeah. And the next
Yeah.
day you still have your car. You wasn't in jail for a DUI. See, come on.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
We
was.
looking out for you. We looking out for you.
Yeah. That was the day. Like my grandfather on one side, he lived to be 100 years old.
Wow.
And then his mother used to work, like if you look up Baltimore Sun papers in Maryland, in Baltimore. Well, the guy who started that, my great grandmother used to work for him. And before he died, he told, because she used to raise children, you know, children and everything, cooked and raised children. And he said, when I die, I'm going to take out a whole article and going to make you famous. So when he died, he took out a whole article explaining how much my grandmother meant to him and the family.
Wow.
Baltimore Sun. Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
So
well, based on our experience, gentlemen, what is it that we have to offer these young people? Because that's the question, you know. And I can remember being in some of these spaces where, you know, I was told that, you know, or I was called an old head, or, well, you don't understand what we're going through right now, because see, you're married and you can't speak to this, that, and the other, and see, you're just old. You don't know anything. You know what I'm saying? You don't understand what it's like out here in these streets. In these streets right now, it's nothing like when you grew up, you know. And so it makes me feel a certain way when I hear some of my younger brothers and sisters go there with that idea, because I've been living this long. I'm not a fool, and I can see, and I can hear, and I definitely listen. You know, so I'm not blind to what I see. See what I'm saying? I know WAP don't stand for worship and praise. I know that. I'm not stupid. See what I'm saying? But at the same time, I know what WAP is.
Yeah.
You know, because I listen. Now, a lot of the mistake that us older people make is that we know what we know, and that's all we know, and we refuse to learn anything else. You know, and that's why it's kind of hard for us to address these younger people, because we don't look at what they're looking at. We don't listen to what they're listening to. See what I'm saying? We don't hear them, how they talk and relate to each other. You know, me, I'm the opposite. You know, I want to hear, I want to see exactly what you're doing. I listen to Fight Club with some of these conversations that they're having, you know, and I'm taken aback. I said, wow, is this how our young people are thinking? Is this the expression of their opinion? You know what I'm saying? And but at the same time, I listen. You know, I don't listen from a judgmental standpoint, but I listen to gain an understanding as to why do you think this way, or what brought you to this type of understanding. You see, why are you so hostile? How come you just can't have a regular conversation? Why is everything so, you know, cut you down, stab you, kill you? You know, yeah. And so there's a lot of that, but you know why? Because there's a lot of lack. There's a lot of lack in a lot of these young people's lives. You know, there's a big deficit in many of their lives. They don't have the proper examples and mentors. And so they're left to figure it out by themselves. And so that's why I you know, and I'm very compassionate toward these young people, because, you know, I see them in the same way that I saw myself when I look back, having no direction, having no guidance. Do you know what I'm saying? Thinking that I know everything, you know.
Oh, I think you should. I think you're saying that, and at the same, I think you're answering the question that you just asked through your dialogue. You're answering it at the same time, and I just think, like you said, as far as you listening, that's a key issue. Try to understand what the young person is coming from, but we must understand that we was young too, and it was things that we did that our parents said the same thing to us. Well, I ain't do that when I was. Why are you doing this? The same thing that we look at to these young kids today is the same way our parents or grown people looked at us when we was kids. Every generation is worse than the generation before. Yeah. So, and that's in the Bible. So I just like you just said, I listen, try to put myself, go back to where I was young and put myself in their shoes and see where they was coming from, just like where I was coming from. And then I try to match it up and try to, equate with them the same way that back in the day someone did with me. All of them, all young people, we must understand this. All young people, it's not you won't get through. It's just the way at time where they are in life. Where they are, you won't get through. But that doesn't mean that the seed that you laid in their mind will never go away. It's just that when it comes to the point when they able to hear, that's when that seed that you laid in their mind and their heart will grow. And then they will say, oh, that's what Vaughn Bryant was telling me. That's what Brother Clarence was telling me. Now I see. And it's just sometimes as where we are, we must look at that and understand, oh, that young man or young woman is not able to see right now. No problem. Let me lay that seed, and then later on they will be able to see. No matter what, amen to both. And God, and amen to God for allowing them to see. Just like we didn't see every day when we was child. We used to say the same thing to our parents. Oh, they don't know what they talking about.
Right. Parents just don't understand. Yeah.
Right. They don't understand.
When you're young in church, you don't understand any of that stuff.
Right. So
I pretend like I do know, but when I got assurance told it, now I know.
Right. So
you 3, 5, 8, you don't know none of that.
Right. And sometimes we just can't hear it. And that could be just the way the parents is explaining or way we explain it. They're just not able to hear it right now. And we must come to grips with that and understand that also. Sometimes I see we try to bash it in. And then since they're not in, we come to that judgmental state. Or you ain't going now, but you going that's going to happen. You don't know that. You don't know that for sure.
Yeah.
At the same time, why should we say that? We should pray that it doesn't happen. Even though we may see it and the words coming out of our mouth are righteous, we should pray that it doesn't happen, just like it didn't happen to us when we was young. So, and if it does, we must pray that God, please get him or that person through whatever the hard times they are going to come to, get them through it like you got me through it. Because sometimes hard times make you a better person, make you, understand what you went through, and then it changes your life. So I think sometimes I see the older people try to force what they're saying. And then like you said, Paul, which is true, there's some older people think they know it all. And what it is, when we are in that mode, we doing nothing but pushing the young person away instead of bringing them up.
Exactly, man. And that, listen, that's so very true, and my thing is this, how can I address a thing if I don't know nothing about it? You see what I'm saying? For instance, say that there's a video, and I'll use this video that we were discussing earlier today. No voting, no with the V vucking. Now say that I'm the type of person, all the young people, it's a rave to them. But say that I'm the type of person that refuses to look at something like that or to see what's going on. And you have a lot of older people that refuse to listen and look at stuff, but then they have such a great opinion about it. You see, if I'm going to address it, I need to know all of the aspects of what went on. So yeah, I'm going to look at it. Yeah, I want to see what's going on so that I can give an answer, so that I can give an answer to it. And if I don't listen to what the younger generation is saying and the expression of where they're coming from, how can I give an answer? How do I know where they're at when I don't listen to them? I just can't start you off, well, in 1970. No, we can't do that. We're not in 1970.
Brother Vaughn, you've done a great job. You've actually segued into the next one, into the next topic, pretty much. Where
Oh, good.
you're
See?
trying to, can you,
Yeah, that was Brother Von Eric that helped me do that.
like Dr. Von Eric, Dr. Von Brian. I got you. You both have done wonderful. like I say, I got doctor's name with that Von in there. No, really, Eric, because he has the VON in it. So yeah, and I'm just I'm chilling about letting y'all get y'all points off, but mostly just getting the conversation going about that, because like I said, as many people who do or don't respect those school ways, I was born in the 90s, somehow really respect it a little bit more because of the stuff they had to do. They need to be done and to have the stuff that we have today, but also people talk to each other face to face, kind of like, not like how we're doing here now. I can fly over to New York, but I don't do that just to stare at Mr. Brother Clarence and just have a conversation with him. It have to be more reason too to go visit the brother too. But most people are just glued to the electronics. Best way to use an example, you're glued to this damn thing, and
yeah, aren't we all?
As a result, you forget how to talk to people the correct way.
Yeah.
I don't like texting. I don't like calling people. But most of my cats live around the world, so I gotta call them. I'll do that at least. Text, I don't like it.
Yeah. I think some of the reasons why the people go to the technology, and that has a lot. I think that also has a part of the element is what the parents are going through mentally.
Mm-hmm.
So they abide the electronics because it's a lot they can't deal with. So they tell the kids, go ahead and play the game because they're going through a lot mentally. Where's the next meal coming in? What job I'm about to get? What's going to happen tomorrow? Where's he at? Where's she at? So it's all those things are going in that mind, and they don't. The last thing they want to deal with is to be around the kids. So they tell the kids, go ahead, play on the phone, or play the game, or go watch TV, because it's a lot of things and that's different than when we was raised. Because when we was raised, everybody comes sit at the table at dinner time. Everybody.
I remember that. My grandma did the same thing with me.
Yeah, let's sit at this table. Ma, can I go eat in the room? Hell no. You gonna sit in this?
My grandma.
Right.
I'm telling y'all. Same thing.
And listen, I was the only child, so me and my mom, we didn't just sit down together all the time, but we did sit down together to eat. But I always enjoyed going over my friends' homes, growing up and sitting at the table with their families, because they had a lot of siblings. You know what I'm saying? And so I always enjoyed those moments, man. Just a great time.
Man, my father was, you couldn't eat nowhere except at the table, man. Well, he could. Everybody else, we definitely had to be at the table. And y'all. See, Jay, I know you don't remember this because this wasn't even around when you were young. But remember that the TV, there was a stand for the TV. You had the little TV and the stand with the wheels on the bottom of it, right? Yeah. And you could wheel it around to whoever you was really going to be operating.
My grandmother had that. My grandma had that.
Okay.
Yeah, she had both. I think she had one. Those little mini TVs you had to have.
Yeah.
So y'all know I'm a 90s kid because I remember that TV all too well. I used to watch the little PBS from that freaking thing when I was young.
They had the rabbit ears, right?
Yeah, rabbit ear antennas and shit. Yeah. People don't know what antennas were, bro. See, I'm a real 90s kid because I remember that motherfucker. Antennas and all this shit.
Right.
I remember we had to move it to get
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah,
no, I wouldn't want to go back to that. Hell no. That was a struggle. You get a good signal. That was a struggle for some cats. Like you get a good signal. So I
Right.
get playing TV up. I'm like, yeah, okay, leave it right there, perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, my pops would be like, "Hey, we watching the news. Ain't no
Yeah.
nothing funny. We watching the news, and then you might get shot a question about the news. Where's Afghanistan? Huh? Where is
Wow.
this
Wow.
or that? You know what I'm saying? It was like a little stressful sometimes. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And you know
Uh,
what was different? What was different about me is that I guess what did they call it now? Latchkey kid or whatever you call it.
right.
When I can remember growing up, and my mom was at work all the time. So
Right.
I was actually left at home, after school. I knew how to get to school and come back. You see what I'm saying? No one had to hold my hand like, we do these kids nowadays,
Right.
I knew how to walk to school and come back,
Yeah.
and but yeah, man, it was just a little different because I was at home quite a bit, while my mom was at work. So I had to figure out I didn't have a lot of supervision, you know, but she made it clear as to what needed to be done before she got home,
Right.
and yeah, definitely a lot of times when I would hear that car pull up and I didn't have something done, believe me, I was breaking my neck before she turned that key,
Right.
and yeah, my mom was very strict, and
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
strict on
That's how
very,
it was. Yeah. That's how it
she was
was.
very strict.
Yeah. That's
you
how
know
it was. And I know.
listen, my mom would get up and go to work on the weekend or whatever it was, and leave me there while I'm asleep, right? And I'd get up, and what's the first thing you do? You go to the bathroom, right? And you trying to yawn and look in the mirror, right? And as soon as I look in the mirror, there's a note. There would be a note on the mirror: clean up the bathroom. So I would say, okay. And then I go on about my business and go in the kitchen to get some cereal, right? Because you got to have breakfast, right? You're going to make sure you eat, and there would be a note in there: wash the dishes.
Mhm. Yeah.
See? And then after you do all of that little stuff, and she, had notes all around the house, then I'd be ready to run out the back door to play a little bit, right? Yeah. Yeah. And there would be a note on the back door too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, damn
it was
sticky
like,
notes all
man,
over the place.
it was a lot. And listen, I bet man, if I didn't have everything checked off on that list, yeah, it was gonna be some issues.
Yeah. And don't let the mirror be scuffed up. You better clean that mirror good with the alcohol and what was the vinegar and water.
Man,
And you better make sure that mirror was clean. I'm talking about. And then my mom used to check each dish. I bet
oh, I
not.
was getting ready to go there. Brother.
I bet
Don't
not.
let it be. Yep, go ahead, tell the story.
Bet not had no grease mark. or
Man.
it's going right back in the sink. Boom, boom. If I get one grease mark, on this dish, you got to do all the dishes over in the
All
can.
of them. Come
All
on, tell
of
the
them.
truth. All of them. All. And the silverware. You washing everything.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
how it was.
Yeah.
That
was
how,
back in the day.
Yeah, but
Now
you know what?
my son doesn't even wash his dish. He don't
Right.
he knows how.
Yeah.
But my wife, she does it, because she wants things done a certain way. But man,
Yeah, my son, he watched it. But you know what? That I see that a lot. I see this on a consistent basis, and things that we was when we was kids. Right now, it would be considered something else. Like they would say child abuse or what they call it, something. Back
right?
then.
Exactly.
So it's different. But it seems like I see it a lot on a consistent basis. It seems like some of the kids, the way we was raised, it seemed like a lot of it, some of us is like looking at it as a bad. It was addictive, so they won't do it to their kids. Oh, I ain't gonna do that what my mom did to me or what my dad did to me. And I think sometimes don't realize what your mom and things that your mom and dad did to you made you where you are today, that you're able to be where you are today. And I think some of our mentality is we look at it as, oh, my mom or my dad didn't love me, or I wasn't loved at the time when my mom or my dad did this. So I think
Yeah.
some of them look at it in a different way. I remember Michael Jackson said his father was real strict with them and used to beat them. But Michael Jackson was a phenomenal businessman. And some of those things that his father did, I don't know for sure because I wasn't there, so I don't know the details. But some of those hard things that we was raised up made us what we are today. Some of it.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say some of it did. I would say some of it did. And I took a lot of those scenarios and things that I went through with my mom growing up, and I used some of those. I used some of those tactics with my son. Outside of the beatings and all of that. I don't.
Right.
I never did approach him. Growing up. In that aspect. But as far as the punishments, man, my mother she was like the master of a punishment, man.
Right.
So
and do you apply that? Do you you may not apply the severity of it, but do you apply some of it?
Yeah, I do. I apply some of it. Now, my mom was very extreme.
Okay.
If she said clean up your room, and you know how boys are when we're younger, and
right.
I didn't care about no clean room. Who's coming over here but my friend? So what?
Right.
And what she would do is she would clean up everything around my room, but she would make this big old pile of stuff in the middle of the floor, like my dresser drawers, everything. And she'd say, now you need to put all of this stuff away. I'd be like, man,
okay.
And so I hated that. And so, yeah, I learned how to keep the room clean.
Right.
Because that whole pile of stuff, when your parents go in your room and just get everything and put it in a pile. And believe me, it wasn't like a little tiny pile. It was just a lot of stuff. I don't know where it came from.
So are you detailed? Are you a detailed person?
Yeah. You know what? Growing up, definitely. As I became a little older, I'm not as detailed as I used to be. But, especially when I was a bachelor, I was very detailed with everything. When people came over my crib,
right.
Everything had to be, line upon line, and all of
and
that.
And that was due to what your mom did, correct?
Well, yeah, because it's like if she told me to clean something, watch this.
Yeah.
If she told me to clean the bathroom,
and
when she went in there and saw spots that I, just haphazardly didn't, I did a half-assed job.
Right.
Oh no, you're gonna clean it right.
You're gonna clean that right.
And guess what? I may have to clean it seven times probably.
Right.
Until I got it right.
Until I got That's how that. And that's what made it. It made me that right there. It made me a detail, even because when I got into the business, my business, I was detailed, and that was a lot of it had to do the way my mom was detailed. With like when I do the dish, I make sure those dishes are clean, even to the day. I make sure each dish is cleaned correctly.
Right.
But that also that detail.
It's like a flashback, huh?
Right, it's a flashback. But it also prepared me when I had my business because I was detailed, major, So but now what I do is because it doesn't apply to every kid or to every person. I would, as far as my son, I would not be severe the way my mom was to me because it wouldn't apply to him due to his personality, who he is. Now, some other kid, it may to get them out where they are. I may have to, like one of my nieces or my nephews, I may have to apply that to that person, but not to my other niece or my other nephew. You gotta look at the kid and, like you said, listen to the kid, understand the kid, where the kid is coming from. And you may have to do certain things to apply to that kid so that kid can get to where they need to be in life.
Wow. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. And I would say this, so we can at least for Von Erich, I think Von Erich has answered all the questions, mostly for the ones at least for the two questions I asked both Brother Clarence and Vaughn Bryant here. Listen, I'll still call you VB. But
V.
yeah, exactly. But I guess the final thing to ask everybody would be is would you say to us as millennials, since I'm 31, I'm younger than you guys, But would you think do we owe it to learn from you guys?
Do
And of course,
you
of course, I'm gonna say yes.
wait? Say it again now.
No, no,
I'm not
no.
sure how you.
Oh, no, no. Okay, so our frame is. I said, would you say that your generation is I said, do they owe it to themselves to learn from the older generation?
Do the younger generation owe it to themselves to learn from the older generation? Is that the question?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And who do you want to go first? Von Eric?
Oh, you.
Oh,
You,
you want
Mr.
me to go?
VB. You can go first.
Well, I would definitely say that there's a great benefit in learning some wisdom, and wisdom comes from experience. You see what I'm saying? And so when you speak to a person that has experience, then you gain some knowledge and some wisdom as well, because you actually learn from experience. You see what I'm saying? In other words, if I was a crackhead and tried to help another crackhead overcome that addiction, you see what I'm saying? I would be more effective with them, because now I'm speaking from experience, And a lot of us who are older, and just because we're older, don't get it twisted now, don't mean we know everything. Just because we're older don't mean that we have wisdom, because you got some older people out here in the streets doing the fool. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I remember that, doing the fool.
Yeah, that's what they're doing right out in the streets, But at the same time, if you have the opportunity to sit down with a level-headed older person, someone that you can learn something from, I think it's very, very beneficial. I think all young people owe it to themselves to listen. That's what history is about.
Yeah.
You can learn regular history, but then you can learn about my history. And what I learned from my experiences. You see what I learned to do and what not to do from my experiences. Because there's really nothing new under the sun. I know everybody says, "Oh no, well, you didn't have cell phones then," but we got, times are different. Yeah, but it's the same devil. It's the same enemy. It's the same adversary that you have to deal with. Now the methods are different. That's and hey, without saying that's true. But I would say, yeah, listen, give some of us a chance. Some of us have been bad examples, as to being examples for the generations that came after us. Some of us are really not that good of an example. You see what I'm saying? And to be honest with you, there was a time when I wasn't a good example. You see what I mean? We all have to learn and live and learn how to turn our lives around, especially if we're doing a lot of devilment. So because of my experience, like I said, I may be able to kind of share that with some younger people that may trip up on some of the areas that I tripped upon, that I fell and bumped my head. Maybe I can detour you, from that pothole, So
yes, sir.
Yeah, I would say it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
All right, Mr. Thank you, Mr. VB, Mr. Von Brian. I appreciate it. Von Eric, or Dr. Von Eric, you're up next.
I agree with 100% what Von Brian said. I think that first, as a spiritual person, I owe everything to God. So it depends on the older person who you're talking to, because Ron Brian was alluding to that too. Because there are some older people that act just as young or not when in their life where they're supposed to be, and they still won't let go of the past. So do you owe it to them? It depends on which one and how you go about talking to them and what you want to learn from them. yeah, it depends on what you want to learn. Because some things, if you look at it, you like, you know what, I don't want to go there. So, and then you may talk to someone like Vaughn Bryant was saying, due to his trials and tribulations and where he is, especially he said, listen, and he listens to you. That's the type of older person that you owe to listen to. But you also have to understand, you may listen to us just like we had owed to listen to our generation before us, and then generation before that, and the generation before that. And it all goes to the spiritual person, which is God, because it starts with him. So, and then it goes to generation to generation to generation. So no matter what, everybody owes, no matter what, owe to this generation, to the before this, and before that. So yes, I do think that by us all owing each other, me as a person, where I'm at, I may be a teacher, but I also am a student. And just like what Vaughn Bryant was saying too, when he said, listen, when I listen, I put myself in a student mode so I can understand whoever I'm talking to a young person, because I can learn from a young person as well as I can learn from an older person. But I also know the foundation is still there in every generation. That's a foundation that does not move, does not change. You can build different things on that foundation, but the foundation, the principle, does not change. It's always there in every generation. So I look at that, you know, I see young kids, young people, and we was there call each other kings and queens. But a king is people that serve the king. But I heard in a rap in Contra Coastal Nacho rap group,
Yeah.
and he said that even though a king is served, what makes a great king is when the king served also. So, and that's a good analogy to go about in life for a young person. You call yourself a king and you want people to serve you, but what makes you a great king is when you serve others, because you understand both sides of the equation. And as a teacher, I always teach my son and my nieces and nephews, just don't be a teacher, be a student. Because you always want to learn, always want to grow, always listen to a person like Vaughn Bryant, which is a key to all things. What he said, he listens. Always listen, but when you listen, get true understanding. Don't just react. Get understanding first and try to understand what that person is coming from. And,
yeah, like that.
And those old days should that was taught to me. And my father taught my father, my mother taught my mother. All of that came from me listening to them. And as my son or my nieces and nephew listens to me, always understand, when you listen to an older person, that older person got it from another older person. And that older person got it from another older person. It comes down. So we all learning. We all in a learning mode. And we still learn. A young person can be an old person due to what that person learned from another generation. So I think that's a key to. I owe it, and the younger person owe it. We all owe it to one another.
Agreed.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Very beautiful, Von Erich. Dr. Von Erich. Got you. Brother Clarence. It's on you now, sir. I don't know if you heard what the question was, but the question was
I heard it, man, but Von Erich.
Oh, you heard it?
Yeah,
okay, I got
not so sweet, but I now I forgot what the question was. I'm listening to what
no.
He did that on purpose, man. He did that on purpose.
Yeah.
Ask me the question.
You want to Dr. Robotnik explanation, but yes. but
he said answer the question. He said answer the question again.
He said, he wants to know the question again because he forgot.
The question, okay. So the question was, I would say,
do the younger people owe it to themselves?
Do younger people owe it to learn from the older generation? Yes.
whether they owe it, I don't know if they owe it to
Owe it to themselves is the question, brother.
Selves.
for themselves.
Do they owe it to themselves to listen
Themselves.
Yes,
to some of these elderly people who, have experience?
yes, because
All right, I'm trying to get him on the right track, Jay.
Thank you, brother.
the difference between
Thank you,
the-
doctor.
you got two. They did that on purpose. Both of the Vaughns did that on purpose, man. They threw me. They said
You can't get you can't get two of us together. It's gonna be trouble.
to do
You
that
realize.
themselves. Well, here's the difference. The difference between wisdom and intelligence is that a smart man can learn, can make a mistake and learn from that mistake. A smart man will make. I'll give a person that I know is untrustworthy money, and I made that mistake of giving that person money, and I learned from it. That's what a smart, intelligent person will learn from that. A wise person will see what happened to the intelligent man and say, I don't even need to do that. I don't even need to do that. I saw what happened to him. I don't need to do that. That's wisdom. And so to get wisdom, you're going to have to, look at what other people have experienced, and then you can use wisdom to not go down that same pathway. And so for them to save time and gain more, it would be better if they use wisdom along with their intellect to guide themselves through. Because I'm gonna just say it, man. The devil's got a lot of traps out here, especially for young people, man. We just saw one today, man. There's a video that Vaughn Bryant is one of his favorite videos. We were watching earlier today.
No, you won't. Pause, my brother. Pause.
We were watching this video earlier today, man.
What?
Loose here.
What?
It's probably one of
Loose here,
Bonnie
devil.
videos
Loose
too.
here.
It's probably one of Bonnie videos too, right? So
I know you won't. No, you
I
won't.
gotta check that video. I gotta check that video. Oh, what did Vaughn
Yeah,
Bryant
me
do?
too.
No, you
I
will
gotta
not do it.
yeah,
If
you
you talk
every
about
time you see that
that-
video, you're gonna think of Von Bryant. Every time.
Oh,
Yeah, if you talking about that, if you talking about that saucy mess, nah, brother, nah, that ain't
It was
nothing
Morgan
favorite
Freeman,
about it.
probably.
Nothing favorite about it.
See, but the point is that people we need to learn from stuff like if we had enough of our younger guys like yourself that would listen to enough of older guys like us. And it's not only on the young people, it's on us too, because we as older people, we have to represent, we have to carry ourselves in a certain way so that the younger people will see I can profit by listening to this person. Because if we don't carry ourselves, we carrying ourselves like Jay. How old are you, Jay? 31, 32?
21. Yep.
31. Okay. I'm 54. If I'm running around doing the same stuff you doing at 54, at 31, and that you doing at 31, you're gonna say, why should I listen to him? He's the same, he's doing the same thing I'm doing. Right? But if you say, hey man, he's at a level, maybe not financially where I want to be, but mentally, spiritually where I want to be, or just at a level of peace where I would like to be, I would like to visit that. Let me go and talk to the brother and see what's going on. See, but it's on both of us. It's on the younger cats being able to listen, and then it's on us as the older cats, like Vaughn was saying, well, both Vaughns were saying basically, that we have to be open enough to allow the younger cats to be able to express themselves and not just kick them and say, that's stupid. Brother, maybe there's a better way of handling that situation this way or that way.
Yeah.
But brothers, I have to run. Brothers, I have to go. My wife and my granddaughter are waiting on me.
Oh no, go ahead, bro. Go ahead, sir. Like I said, it just means enough that you you showed for this topic that we're going to talk about, and plus we're going to end it in about 10 minutes anyway. So I really wanted to hear what you all had to say, and I want to thank I want to thank the old school generation coming up here so we can speak, so I can hear your trials, your tribulations, your perspective. They all matter to me because, like I said, I'm a 91 kid. I respect the old school generation. Like I said, because y'all worked really hard to get us here, and also to raise some of us. That dead ass. So, hey, one of y'all could be my unknown uncle from another freaking dimension. I wouldn't even know
Hey, yeah,
because I was
never know,
a kid.
Thank
Exactly.
you, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me up here, man. I appreciate you for inviting me. Von Eric, as always, is a pleasure, man. Thank you for not making me work and wrestle this time. Appreciate it.
he took it easy on you tonight, right? He took it a little easy on you, brother Clarence.
But it's good though. It's righteous wrestling though. It's good. It's good. And same thing with Von Bryant, man. Von Bryant, man. Oh man, such a great person, man, to have on your team, man. If you ever really give somebody a chance, give these brothers a chance, man. Talk to them, man. They got a lot of wisdom between both of them, man. And same thing for Jay Takashi, man. Jay Takashi is a very wise man.
Oh yeah, very
on these years, man. So
Yeah.
I am honored to be on the panel with all three of you brothers. Appreciate you, but I have got to go. My granddaughter's gonna have a fit if I don't get home. So I appreciate
no. Get over there. Gotcha, sir.
Right.
Do what you gotta do.
Thank
All
you.
right, bro.
Appreciate you, brothers.
All right, bro, Clarence.
See y'all later.
All right, so y'all have, you have a good night. Now, before we end things, I do, since we have the old school cats here, this is a bonus question. Don't worry, it ain't got nothing to do. It got nothing to do with
I'm good, man.
generation. I promise. But this is a funny one, specifically for you.
Okay, let's see what you come
Name me your favorite music band group in the time y'all was born.
Say it again.
I said name me your favorite music band from the time y'all was born in y'all era.
Well, I would definitely right away.
I know somebody gonna say the Whispers. You can't use that as a cheat because I use it too.
Well, when you said band, you meant a group as well as the artist.
Group too.
So I would definitely have to say Rufus and Shaka Khan.
Oh, Rufus and Shaka Khan.
That was one of my favorite groups back in the day.
Yeah. I would have to say Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Yeah, I like Shaka Khan a lot. She's really good.
Yeah, Earth, Wind, yeah, I would have to say Earth, Wind. It's many of them though.
Yeah, it's so many of them. Earth, Wind, and Fire. Frankie Beverly and Mays, the Isley Brothers. I mean, come on, we could. Al Green, Bill Withers. I mean, we could keep going now.
Yeah,
we keep going.
It's a lot. It's a goodness gracious. Just in the 70s.
Just in the 70s, right? Man, that's what I'm talking about, man. The music was excellent back then, Nothing like today.
I mean, honestly, I've been listening. I actually want to let y'all know something. If I think for every day I switch it up, I listen to a lot of old school stuff, like from not just old school rap guys. I listen to old R&B, soul, hip hop, all that old. Like we had a lot of love making songs made that I really do love to this day. They're really great. And listen, I don't care what generation says this. I don't care if they say the Sim songs or what. Please shut the hell up.
Yeah.
Those are beautiful. Listen, those are people who had emotion.
How you gonna take those classics and call them simp songs? Come on,
yeah,
man.
I'm sorry, bro.
You've gone too far, man. Because see, one thing about those songs is they have lasted down through the decades. Come on. And that's just not for no reason. Now a lot of the younger people come up with stuff now, and believe me, we'll forget it in 10 months.
Yeah, not even 10 months. I forget it in like 5 seconds.
Look, that's
how bad it is.
So see, they had longevity.
I tell people it's so bad. Like around the time, I jumped ship in 2009 away from the music. Doesn't mean it was bad. It just I wanted, like I said, I'm more into the Japanese stuff and the European music. And just more retro wave, by the way, retro wave, old school, like movies that would have that old school sound to them, similar to old school Michael Jackson and things like that. That thing is I love listening to that now.
Yeah, man.
They got it all on YouTube, man. I'm listening to all the old school stuff.
So that music definitely stands the test of time. You know, and when you think that the song is when you think of the song and it's still popular. 50 years later, do you know what I'm saying? 40 years later, come on.
And that Shaka Khan, man, ain't nobody. That's my shit. I love
who has that type of longevity nowadays?
Yeah, but we when we was young, right? Because what Bob Bryan is absolutely right. But and some kids do not appreciate. But but we did it too. Some of us did it back in the day because when our grandparents used to come up with and play songs with the washing board, we like, get that washing board. Get that bebop back in the woods and pick cotton sound away from me. I don't want.
You gonna make a beat, right?
Yeah, some of us did do that back in the day. If you don't get that washing board sound and them pickets and a spoon clapping out of
look, they used to have it in the church, man.
They did. They
the
sure
boards
did.
And the spoons and all of that.
Right.
Yeah.
We wanted
to make
hear,
a beat. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. We wanted to hear horns, flutes, and stuff.
Yeah.
We was like,
my brother Vaughn and Von Eric. I'm sorry, guys. Listen, I love Mint Condition. Them brothers could play some jazz
now
music.
that's one of my favorite. Now that's
I'm sorry. They probably
favorite.
they might be number one for me, and the reason why because I'm like,
wow, that's
yo,
crazy.
you
You
send me
should say
swinging.
that.
I love that song.
That's one of my favorite bands. Is Mint Condition.
Yeah,
Mint Condition. They're really, really good.
When I went to one of their concerts, man, and I went to one of their concerts, and I was blown away because they were doing the R&B stuff, and of course, what's his name, Stokely or whatever his name is, the lead singer.
Lead singer.
Of course, he's awesome. He can hit them notes and do all of that.
Yeah, he can.
But man, when I heard how they broke off into that jazz like that, I was done. I said,
right.
"What?"
Man. But he was raised
like,
up on it. He was raised up on the music.
Man.
He was raised. You could tell he was raised around it and took a liking to it. Now, it's some artists. Don't get me like it's something like Tekashi, the XX technician. What's his name? XX technician. His if you listen to his,
talking about the rapper that passed away.
Yeah, if you listen to his, you could tell he's been listening to some old stuff back in the day. You could tell he appreciated. A lot of these artists, young artists, appreciate a lot of songs that we was raised up on. Right. Now, some of them don't, but it's the reason why, though. Some of it is because their parents used to tease them and say, "Get that bull crap out of here," or put them down and stuff like that. So they end up not liking it due to their parents or somebody told them it was bull crap.
Interesting, by the way.
Yeah, just like back in the day, everything was done in the church, right? And then you had the speakeasies. They used to disrespect them. You better not play that little bull crap stuff like that.
And the speakeasy would take the church sound and put it in there and jazz it up.
And jazz it up.
Oh man, the music has went through so many different transitions. Man.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, man.
You know what I'm saying? And even nowadays,
too, by the way. Yeah.
Even nowadays, a lot of the young people don't even recognize that there's a song that was sampled that they're really into, and they don't even realize that it came from back in the day.
Yeah.
And all they did was sample that little segment of it. You see what I'm saying, man? Like when you go back to especially like for instance when Mary J. Blige did that Elton John little riff off into her that Benny and the Jets.
Yeah.
You see, and that became a popular song for Mary J. Blige. But that sample was from Benny and the Jets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that song she did, "I'm Going Down." That was that.
Yeah. No, come on there. And that was from back in the day too, right? You remember Car Wash.
Yeah.
Man, come on.
Everybody knows that one.
Yeah. So
and James Brown has been sampled to no end.
Oh yeah, all his
James, definitely James. But a lot of those it's kind of see this is what it's a spiritual thing comes in because God be blessing people. It doesn't matter who, because a lot of it started in the church. Most of those big time producers came up in the church.
Oh yeah, that's the root.
Church and became it. And you could tell God was still with them, even though they went away from the church. Dumb bad boys. Look at the music they. If you ever listen to interviews, 99% of them, I started in the church. I started in the church, and then it went from the church into secular, blues, James Brown, all those songs. It's it's like kind of it's let you know
It's coming full circle, right?
it's coming full circle.
Nothing
Exactly.
is new under the sun.
It's done.
You know,
Nothing is-
just because it's a C sharp, you didn't come out with
Right.
C sharp. C
right.
sharp was already there. F
Already
flat
there.
was already there.
Already
Now it's
there.
about how we put all of these notes together.
Yeah.
You know, that's
And-
where the
And you
creativity
can tell it comes full circle because when you got hedge funds, BlackRock, Goldman Sachs, they buying masters. They
Mm,
buy music masters. So if
Mm.
they buy music, they let you know it comes back around. Like you said, it comes back around. When the hedge fund, these are
Yeah.
multi-billion-dollar, BlackRock is $1 trillion hedge fund. They buy music masters.
and it's so funny that, you know, the history of the music is it seems like that's being lost. We're,
Right.
we're enjoying the benefit of the history of the music, but we really don't know where it originated. Just like the one song, I don't know why Mary J is on my mind, but you know, when she says, my life, my life, my life, my life
Yeah.
in the sunshine, right?
Yeah.
Well, come on. That
Right.
was not
man.
hers at all. That's a way back in the day song.
Right.
Way back in the day song, and what they do, I think they reinvent the song for most of the times.
Yeah. And I
Even
love
where,
how she
there's
reinvented
actually
it. But
there's actually one song that that I actually know that got sampled that is like clear and cut an old school song because I listened to it enough times to know what it sounds like, and it's off of oh God, give me a second. I'm Curious,
Mhm.
and that's I'm trying to remember the band for that.
Oh,
But,
so
you know the song I'm Curious.
Yeah.
That's the one. I love that one. Yeah, freaking Snoop Dogg and them sampled that off of their song.
Yeah.
Listen to that whole beat. That's what the whole beat is. It's
Right.
literally, I'm curious of certain songs, how it sounds. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's the whole sample.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that motherfucker's copied Midnight? That did that? Was it really? I mean, it
Yeah,
doesn't make it
you'd be
any better for me. I mean, it's an awesome beat because I know the old school beat that goes to it, but the original is always going to be my favorite because I listened to it enough times what it sounds like. Like, for example, I can't imagine somebody sampling I Got My Whiskey by Mel Waiters. That's a good song for me.
right.
I love that song.
Right.
I mean, people don't know. I bump that in my freaking when I deliver. I bump that song in my freaking van. People be seeing me. I'm like, hell yeah, look at me. It's my
Right.
old. I rock the old school. What are you talking about? I love this shit. Be like,
Yeah.
I came out. Yeah, heck yeah.
I used to be not a big time, but I was a promoter and I had my own studio because I just love the way God just bless people when it comes to creating and when it comes to music. Yes,
I used to do the same thing. Yeah.
Oh, it's just amazing to see that and then have someone sit down and write the song. And then I love listening to creators who create music, songs, and how it comes to them. They could be in the bed, wake up, whole song. That's all that is just amazing to me because I just like.
And I love that about music personally, Von Eric, because I come from a family.
Gift. That's real.
I come from a family of musicians too. So
Okay.
I think for me, I love how sound when it comes to particular music. Even like I said, everything I listen to when it comes to Donna Summers,
Wow.
when it comes to freaking I said Mid Condition before, but like the Gap Band, I can name the word. Like I said, the Whispers. What's my man's name? What's his name? Howard Hewitt.
Oh,
Show
yeah.
Me, man. I love that. Show
Howard
Me. That's
Hewitt.
one of my favorite songs. I love that.
Wow.
It's an addiction. Where, especially
Wow.
Glenn Jones music. I love Glenn Jones music. Those
Yeah, I
are
like
like
Glenn Jones.
addicting
I like Glenn
artists
Jones.
to listen to because they have such a polarizing sound to their stuff, to how their music sounds off. And I swear to God, if it wasn't for freaking copyright, I'd play all these freaking songs on these damn streams. I wouldn't have to make shit up. I'd be playing I Got My Whiskey as an opener. Hell yeah.
If you see Grace Jones, Von Bryan, she was just in concert, 74 years old, moving like she in her 20s.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
her brother is the bishop of my church.
He's the what?
He's the bishop of my church.
Oh yeah,
Bishop Noel Jones.
Oh, you go to his church? Oh, I didn't know that.
When I get a chance, that's kind of like a home base for me there.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, but man, let me tell you, when I grew up, I listened to a lot of jazz, though. I can't lie.
I'm a jazz man.
And
by the
I
way.
was definitely reared up listening to, Miles Davis and Charlie Parker and
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
Thelonious
Chucky
Monk
Booker.
and
I like Chucky
Oscar
Booker too, by the way.
Peterson and
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So many did Grover Washington. Just
Oh
man,
yeah.
and my mom loved to listen to those instrumentals and so I
So
remember she bought
good.
me a drum set and I would would sit down and try to play a little Stanley Turntine or something like that. And man, it was good times, man. And that music has never died. It hasn't died. And
Right.
those
It
dudes
should
back
never
then
die.
were geniuses.
Oh
They
my
were
goodness.
geniuses.
Yeah.
They
They
Oh
were
my
were.
God.
They were
Yeah.
they
Chucky
tore the hell out of those
I
instruments
mean,
when
if
they
you
were
if
doing
you
it
look
too.
at some of the jazz, the jam sessions that they would have,
Oh yeah.
and it would be
Mhm.
off the top of their head. They
Right.
knew where they were going, but they knew how to go with the music.
Right.
I mean, man, craziness, crazy.
But Chucky Booker was good back. He did one of my favorite songs called "Spread My Wings for Truth."
Spread My Wings was a good one. I ain't gonna lie, Turn to Love is my
Yeah.
favorite. I love that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, he was
I've
pretty
been
smart.
singing that, bro.
I
That
mean, he
brother
was-
made me get me out of my seat and start singing. Shit.
I like the see what made James Brown so great is because it said this in the story is James Brown didn't just he'd just come in and say, y'all go ahead and play, and I just come right on in. That is a genius right there. What he doing is listening to everybody and then come in and just flow with what they bring forth. He didn't say, stop doing this, stop doing that. You don't need to do this. He said, go ahead and play. A lot of best musicians would like this. Go ahead and play, because whenever God brings you, I'm just going to come right on in with it.
And he had his own style, man. He had his own style of a beat of music,
Right.
And and it's so signature. You know what I'm saying? Because James Brown was just like dun, 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 and believe me, it was like that was the groove on a lot of his music, but he would switch it up somehow. But you would know it was his, his music. Oh man, come on.
Yeah, he had
it was his. And that horn section,
horn
section he had, man,
was crazy. Yeah, it was. But
that's why I love Earth, Wind, and Fire. Now, Earth, Wind, and Fire, man. Let me tell you, when it comes to the horn section,
oh my God,
man, the horn section, man. All of them chops and them,
yeah.
I mean, and they were so tight too.
Right.
You don't get that tight just by sitting around. No, they had to practice. You got to practice to be that tight.
Yeah. Man.
And these were live musicians. They didn't do a lot of sampling and had a lot of electronics. They didn't have a lot of electronics, synthesizers and things like that. That came later.
Right.
That came as the time went on, but the majority they made their own stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like they were making the samples, but not like through what we have now. They didn't have that. They just had to make that stuff.
Right.
And I'm just like, literally, I've actually seen some old school, I wouldn't say old school recordings, but old school videos where they were sitting down literally in just like even in a basement just making stuff. And I'm like, this is just how we started off. Like I tell people, when it comes to New Edition and all that, what do you think they started at? Right. Bottom of the barrel like everybody else.
Exactly.
And then they got bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. You know what, Dr. Vaughns, I want to have you guys on the backstage if you're not still too busy. If you have to head out, I understand. I'll have you guys on the backstage, and I'm gonna have some play some old school music in the background and see if you guys can remember a couple of ones, just for not to keep you on too long, but if you want.
Okay, I'm up for it. I'll try.
All right, and guys, with that being said, the stream is over. I'm not gonna play an outro because I want to play an old school song badly, so I can't. Y'all not getting no.
But you know what, Jay? I hear that YouTube is and I may be incorrect from what I heard, but I thought I heard someone say that YouTube is trying to open it up where you can play other artists' music. Yeah. Has anybody else heard that or no?
Yeah, I heard that too.
That was the first time hearing of it.
Yeah, because they're gonna have something that you're gonna they're gonna put it in a pool or something that you are able to play. These songs you are able to, like some of the songs they have right now but they're gonna add more to that pool that you are able to go in there and play some of the songs back in the day.
Oh wow!
And not get penalized for it. Yeah, they're gonna open it up.
Oh, okay. Well, guys, listen, we're gonna be jamming out in the back. Anybody who wants
All
to
right.
join us, you're welcome to join us in the backstage. All in all, thank you for tuning in for this stream. Thank you, brother Clint.
Yes,
Shout out to
sir.
his channel. Go and subscribe and go. Please go check. Please go to his Cash App on his streams so you can help raise money for those Black Packs.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
a
almost there.
part of the $100 club. I donated
Yes,
my
he is.
100. So please, like I said, contribute whatever you can. Like I said, it always helps. And also, like I said, I'm doing it for the kids. I ain't
Yes.
doing it for the selfish pricks out there. There's a difference. all
Amen.
in all, subscribe to that brother's channel. He's got some great content and also good topics too. So y'all have, and I would say to everybody, thanks for tuning in. Y'all have a great night. And please go listen to some old school freaking music. Like you should.
Yes.
And if you won't listen to our style, listen to some
you
Journey
owe it
for
to
me at
yourself.
least.
You owe
Hey,
it to yourself.